The core gameplay loop of Black Ops 6 multiplayer is absolutely addicting, with plenty of new features like Omni Movement, combat specialties, new score streaks, 16 new maps, and a plethora of weapons to grind mastery camos on. Black Ops 6 has plenty of content for all players old and new. They even brought back the classic prestige system, and for those who've only been around since the Warzone days, it's infinitely better than the seasonal system. So where do we even start? Well, let's start with the most important part of any Call of Duty: the maps. I'm not going to sugarcoat this. The maps in Black Ops 6 are not very good. Red Card, Babylon, Vorkuta, and Lowtown are some of the worst launch maps we've ever seen. There's 16 maps though, some of them must be good, right? Well, 4 of those maps are strike maps, which are meant for 2v2 gunfight, so they're very small and very chaotic when playing 6v6, so they don't really count. The only maps I've been enjoying consistently are Subsonic, Skyline, Derelict, and believe it or not, Scud. There's only one way to break this down: tier list. Before we get into the tier list, if you're new here and enjoying the video, don't be shy, hit that subscribe button, it's completely free. Now I'll start by saying that none of these maps are great, and an A tier map in Black Ops 6 doesn't compare to an A tier map from Black Ops 2 or Black Ops 3. Let's get into it. Babylon. This was Treyarch's answer to competing with Shipment. Gotta be honest, once you get put in that blender, this might be one of the worst designed maps ever. C tier. Derelict. Set in an old train yard, this map has constant action, long lines of sight, and no room to breathe. One of the maps I don't hate in this game, but it's far from great. B tier. Lowtown. This map has a bunch of water. Do I even need to say more? Veto. Payback. Set in the campaign safe house, The Rook, Payback is a playground for cracked out SMG players. There is zero room to breathe, and you'll always be in a fight. But is that good or bad? Depends on who you ask. B tier. Protocol. I had such high hopes for Protocol, but in pubs, this map is an absolute nightmare to play. If for some reason you're able to load into a match at 6v6, have fun getting spawn trapped as soon as you lose map control. C tier. Red Card. A very cool concept for a COD map set in a soccer stadium, but the design just doesn't flow properly. And it's one of the bigger maps in the game, so it feels lifeless at times. Veto. Rewind. This map on paper has the most normal 3-lane map COD design, but something about it feels completely off. I do think it plays well as a hardpoint map, and it's far from bad. B tier. Scud. Though aesthetically horrible to look at, Scud has provided me with a lot of good games, and I find it actually plays well on most modes. B tier. Vorkuta. We finally get to return to Vorkuta, and what we get is a horribly designed map that pushes players to slaughter by guiding them into areas guarded by enemies on head glitches just waiting to pick you apart. Veto. Vault. Another map I had really high hopes for, and have been let down again. There is a fun Easter egg with the diving board where you can actually get some serious height off of it, but the spawn trap is terrible and people just sit top balcony and spawn. Doesn't make for a fun experience. C tier. Skyline. One of the best maps in the game, wouldn't even crack the top 5 in other games. Skyline plays well on most modes and will be a COD competitive staple. Definitely one of the most balanced maps we have. Not a fan of the security doors being closed, but that's not a huge issue at the end of the day. A tier. Lastly, we have Subsonic, which is a map I actually thought would be terrible, but it's actually the most fun map in the game right now. It's chaotic, but there's lots of room to spawn safely, and you're never fully trapped. I've been having a blast on Subsonic, and I'd rank it the highest in the game right now. A tier. Overall, the maps just aren't very good in Black Ops 6. Treyarch has such a good track record with maps, but lately, they've been missing. The good news is that their library is filled with classics like Firing Range, Raid, and Summit, to name a few. All of which are incredible pub maps. Another positive is that we just got Nuketown added, which is another great pub map, but skill-based matchmaking feels even worse in the Nuketown 24/7 playlist. We're definitely gonna need some of those classic maps to come back to keep the longevity of this game alive, because apparently, developers can't design good COD maps anymore. The new big thing this year is the movement mechanics, specifically Omni Movement, which allows the players to sprint, slide, and dive in any direction they please. This was promoted as game-changing for Call of Duty and would forever change the landscape of COD. While that may be right on some level, the game doesn't feel as different as one might think. It's definitely cool to slide and shoot in any direction, but I feel like there's other movement mechanics that got nerfed because of this, specifically jump shots. When I jump shot now, my aim and idle sway are way out of whack. Now I get that's by design, and there's a perk to compensate for it, but we've spent years slide canceling and jump shotting, now I have to train my brain to not do that as much. You can still play just fine without utilizing any of the Omni movement, though it definitely makes the game easier and more fun, but you don't have to play that way if you don't want to. I do really like the addition of Omni movement overall, and feel like it's a great thing to include in every Call of Duty moving forward to bridge that gap between the boots on the ground era and jetpack era. The Gunsmith the last 2 years has been an absolute nightmare, with literally thousands of attachments to go through. Thankfully, Black Ops 6 dials it back a little. There are still lots of different ways to build your weapon, and in my opinion, there's still too many attachments, but I'm happy with the direction taken thus far, and it's not overwhelming when looking for a new attachment. I hope they don't choose to add any more, and I'm actually curious how all of this will integrate with Warzone in Season 1. Speaking of bad things from the last 2 years, we finally got rid of the side-scroll menu UI. Let's freaking go! Black Ops 6 menu exploration is so much more intuitive, and we're actually back to vertical menus when choosing attachments in game modes. We've been asking for this for years, and they finally delivered. Overall, a big win for all players here. This game looks incredible, by the way. I find Call of Duty looks great every year, but Black Ops always looks better than Infinity Ward or Sledgehammer games. The colors are so vibrant, and they just pop on all of the settings and maps in this game. If you're looking for a visually appealing Call of Duty, this is the one. One of the best parts of Black Ops 6 multiplayer is the gunplay. It doesn't matter if you're using an AR, SMG, or sniper rifle. Everything is fluid, sounds amazing, and feels great to use, and every kill feels as rewarding as ever. The firing range also makes a return in its best form yet. With detailed stats and a recoil tracking plate that can be toggled, the game makes it easier than ever to find what weapon works best for you. I'm a big numbers guy, and though I haven't had a full chance to dive into the detailed stats on the weapons, I'm very much looking forward to it. Another new feature this year is combat specialties, which become enabled when the players equip 3 perks from the same perk class. There's 3 different options. Enforcer, eliminating enemies grants a temporary buff to movement speed and health regen rate. Recon, enemies can be seen through walls for a short time after respawn. A HUD edge indicator flashes when an enemy is outside your view, and you leave no death skulls when eliminating players. And Strategist, earn a bonus score for objectives and destroying enemy content. See enemy content through walls a short distance and deploy equipment and fields upgrades faster. These are all great additions to the game, however, the Recon Specialist is way too overpowered. They need to get rid of either the wall hacks or the permanent high alert to make this more balanced. However, like I said, I think these are great additions to the game, and you don't have to use them if you don't want to, but I think it's a good way to force people to mix up the perks they run. Classic Prestige is back in Call of Duty after a 5-year absence, and I'm so glad it's back. There are 10 Prestiges to grind through this year, plus 1,000 levels of Prestige Master after that. Each Prestige is based off a past Treyarch title, like Prestige 1 is World at War Zombies focused, and all of the rewards are tied into that theme, which is a great callback to the other games in the series, and awesome for longtime fans like myself. Throughout the Prestiges, you'll get access to permanent unlock tokens to help you through your Prestige journey, where you can unlock one item that you would normally unlock through levels 1 through 55. It's also not as punishing as in previous titles. You get to keep all of your weapon levels and camo progress, which is huge for everyone doing the camo grind. All in all, I'm so happy Classic Prestige is back after years of the seasonal Prestige system. It just never felt like Call of Duty and was never worth to grind to the highest level. We are so back. There's a bunch of new audio settings this year, and I'm honestly still playing around with what works best for me. That's the beauty of it. It's all customizable to the individual. I've just been playing on the standard Treyarch mix of the game for a majority of it, and the audio sounds great to me. Enemy footsteps are clear, and you can hear them from a good distance. I personally think they're too loud, and that they should be toned down a touch. Otherwise, people are going to be forced into running Ninja, which isn't even completely silent in Black Ops 6. Just put dead silence in the game, it's not that difficult. Overall, the audio sounds fantastic. It wouldn't be a Call of Duty video without at least mentioning skill-based matchmaking. I feel like it's cranked to the absolute max right now. I understand why it's in the game, they have the retention numbers to show it, but can we turn this shit down, please? Is that too much to ask? It makes the game less enjoyable for everyone. You're just always on par, never leagues above anyone. which makes you feel like you never get better. It's a terrible system. I understand why they do it, but I hate it. A few weeks back, I released a short ranking all Call of Duty multiplayers. So where does Black Ops 6 rank in that list? Although the maps are some of the worst we've seen at launch, the rest of the game more than makes up for it. Omni movement is innovative and fun, classic prestige is back and better than ever, the gunplay and graphics are the best they've ever been, and we finally got an updated menu UI and a more standard Gunsmith. Combat specialties are a cool new addition, and the audio is great. I've always liked the Treyarch games more than the other devs, and Black Ops 6 is a great new addition to this list. I'm placing it at the top of B tier. For now, the two biggest things holding this game back are the maps and skill-based matchmaking. The latter being the worst it's ever felt in my opinion. The maps will get sorted, but I fear skill-based matchmaking will never be turned down. It's already turning some of my friends away. What do you guys think of the multiplayer experience so far in Black Ops 6? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next time. We'll chat then.